Live on Facebook. Good to go.
Still loading?
Yeah.
On Facebook.
All right, we're live.
There we go. We are now live.
Okay. Everybody's looking pretty.
There's like a 2-second, 3-second delay on Facebook. That's normal. So just don't freak out. You're like,
we can do this, guys.
yeah.
This is not awkward.
But,
really, it's not.
I mean, like, if you're like looking at it, you just said something and then looked at the stream. It's like, oh, I just said that 3 minutes ago. So let's wait for more viewers. I saw 2 viewers earlier, 2 or 3 viewers earlier.
I see 12 now.
I hope that we can add more viewers. Maybe we can share and like, drop a share and like for the stream, guys, so that Facebook takes notice of our live. Right, Kimmy?
Yes,
Matt?
please. Thank you.
So
thank you.
let's welcome the people on the Facebook Live and to like and share our stream to any Facebook groups, to other relevant groups, so that we can get more people interested in this.
Yes.
And we're starting at 4:20, so 2 minutes to go.
Got 2 more minutes.
So feel free to share it, guys. Let's
All
go.
right.
Let's share this
I
on.
love the energy.
Let's keep it up. Let's share it. If you have Facebook groups, just share it. Drop a like, guys. See those heart emojis on the Facebook Live, because we need to feel the love and share the love, guys.
I love that.
Oh, but
okay. Did everybody see that message?
Yeah, I did.
I'm so happy. So Harish is not yet here.
Testing audios. Just testing.
Guys, please like and share it to your friends. Like
1
and
minute.
share. Kimmy, maybe you can share it to your other groups so that we can.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's talk sensible.
They want to listen. You've got a great date today, guys. Are you excited?
I had a long day, for sure.
For sure, but here we are.
And
time check.
4:20 it is.
4:20. Happy 4:20.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, guys. We're live.
Happy 4:20.
Happy 420, guys.
4:20. Go, Matt. Fire away.
Look at all the hearts. Thank you for the hearts.
Thank you for
hearts.
All right, guys. Welcome to our first Cannatalk, hosted by Sensible Philippines. We are very proud to be hosts for our friends in Asia. So first of all, we'd like to introduce our profile on who we are, on who's about us. So Sensible Philippines is a registered nonprofit advocacy and educational organization focused on reforming cannabis and drug policy in the country. Sensible Philippines recognizes the medicinal and industrial benefits of cannabis and hemp. So what do we do as a organization? Here are our few things that we do. Number one is to conduct educational and advocacy campaigns. Number two would be organizes lobbying efforts to introduce cannabis and drug policy reform bills and resolutions in Congress. Number three, we represent cannabis and drug policy reform advocacy on stakeholder consultations of government agencies. Number four would be interacts and forgets alliances and forges alliances with advocates internationally. So right now would be I would like to introduce myself. My name is Matthew Orsales. I'm one of the founding members of Sensible Philippines, and I'm very happy to welcome you all. So my short background would be I was an advocate since 2016 and decided to go to the United States for more knowledge and information on why is it that California has been legal ever since and what have they been doing, what's the fuss about cannabis. So I went there as a patient myself and registered in a medical cannabis consultation with a doctor, and they examined me and they gave me a recommendation of a prescription where I can use this to go to any cannabis dispensary in California to purchase cannabis legally and safely. So after that, I loved how they treated me, and I wanted to pursue more on cannabis. So I decided to apply as a cannabis consultant in a dispensary in California. And from there, I snowballed to four different cannabis dispensaries, and I just loved how I would like to help it here in the Philippines to once it's legal, because after 2 years working there, I just really wanted to help more patients, especially Filipino patients who are really in need of this miraculous medicine. So after that, I went back here and worked with Sensible Philippines as we focus more on cannabis advocacy. So thank you so much. And now I would like to introduce our next speaker, Miss Kimi Del Prado. She is our proud mother, very loving, enjoyable leader of Sensible Philippines. And yeah, Kimi, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. A round of applause first for Matthew. Matthew, that was so awesome. Thank
Go.
you. Wow. Super, super blessed to have Matthew part of this, part of Sensible Philippines. So yeah, so I'm Kimi Del Prado, and I'm one of the co-founders of Sensible Philippines, and I'm also acting as the chairperson. So how I got involved in the advocacy, I think I think most of us have the same history on how we started with the advocacy. It usually starts with an interest and then curiosity, and then from one, like it opens your curiosity. You look for answers, and then you get the answers, then you go deeper into the rabbit hole. So I've never encountered any other plant as controversial as marijuana. So with that, that's the question that that I always had in mind. So anyway, back then I was looking for anything mother and marijuana because I was a mother. I was a first time mother back then. So upon a quick Google search, I found this group. Their name is Moms for Marijuana International. So it was very controversial for me because having the word moms and then marijuana is like contradictory because we grew up knowing that marijuana is a drug and that parents are supposed to tell their kids to stay away from drugs, and yet there's this group called Moms for Marijuana International promoting the benefits of cannabis as a whole. So with that, I saw that they had chapters in Malaysia and in Thailand, I think, and in Indonesia and in different parts of the world. So I asked them if they have a Philippine chapter, and that time we had a few email exchanges, and then after a while they gave me the Facebook page, the Philippine Moms for Marijuana Facebook page. I was new to Facebook back then, so I didn't know that there were other that there were other groups advocating this. So it was like in my head, it's like these guys are so brave and out there, like advocating something that's illegal, right? So I looked up to them. It's like so brave of them to come out, and then and I checked around the local cannabis community, and I found this group. It's a forum, and in this forum were unlikely members of it. So I saw a thread there. It was a I think the title was my cannabis journey, I think, or my medical journey. It was Pitok. His name was Pitok, and he was the author of the thread. So what he did there was he shared the story of how he managed to help his father-in-law with his cancer. Although it didn't cure him completely, it prolonged his life. So he closed the thread because he said he served his purpose. And so within the thread, there were other unlikely members of the forum, because this was a forum of Filipino potheads, of like Filipino cannabis connoisseurs. And there were members who are parents looking for medicine for their sick kids, sick babies. And this was at the time of when the CNN documentary came out, if you remember that, Weed by Dr. Sanjay Gupta. So if Charlotte Fiji was to the US, we had Moon Jaden. Moon Jaden's story kind of opened the medical marijuana talk. So there were other parents and family members and caregivers with the same condition, and other patients as well who was looking for like an alternative medicine, because for the first time, like in mainstream media, for the first time, marijuana was talked about in a good light. I mean, seeing Charlotte, if you're familiar with Charlotte Fiji, right? So if you see a figure of a child being given marijuana or medicine made from marijuana, you would think that's controversial, because we grew up, and history or written records tell us that marijuana is a dangerous drug, and it's scheduled, classified as having no known medicinal property and has high potential for abuse. So we grew up with that, and yet there was this case of children using cannabis oil, and it actually helped them manage their seizures. So that inspired the movement here in the Philippines. So we found ourselves calling us the Philippine Cannabis Compassion Society, and we have so what we have was like we have different advocates volunteering their time, doing like volunteering on how to help, because if I'm not mistaken, it was the first time marijuana was talked about in that manner, like something controversial, and all of a sudden everyone's interested in it because they saw that it cured a child, or it treated a child, child's epilepsy. So that was big. We had an advocate. His name is Mark. So what he did was he got in touch with known personalities who had previous statements in favor of marijuana, be it for medical or otherwise. And among all of the people that he reached out to, it was Congressman Albano, who immediately returned his call. So so Congressman Albano asked to meet the parents of these children with cases similar to Charlotte. I'm sorry. Let's go back. So that was the story of Moon Jaden. So so that community that community was the result of Moon Jaden's story. And although she passed away, her story was like the inspiration of how things happen in the Philippines as regarding to medical marijuana. Now going back to the story of Congressman Albano, so it was Congressman Albano who filed the first medical marijuana bill. This was in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. And since then, the bill has been filed and is now, well, now the younger Albano has replaced him in office. So that was 2014. So imagine from one bill, 2014, how progress has been made and how people are now waking up to the possibility of cannabis as medicine and as a potential industry. We now have 4 bills on cannabis and 1 on hemp. And let me just read this for everyone's reference. I think we still have time. Am I correct, Arthur? I still have time, right? All right.
Okay.
So to date, we have HB 279. This is authored by Congressman Tony Pet Albano, an act providing right of access to medical cannabis as compassionate alternative means of medical treatment, expanding research into its medicinal properties and for other purposes. We have HB 2486, an act providing compassionate and right of access to medical cannabis and expanding research into its medicinal properties. And this is authored by Rep. Pineda and Michael Romero. Yeah. So this is also pending with the Committee on Health. And we also have HB 3167. It's also by Congressman Albano. And this is exclusively for the derivative of marijuana. And there's also HB 3961, an act to establish the Philippine Cannabis Development Authority, or PhilCADA, defining its powers and functions, appropriating funds, therefore, and other purposes. This is by Congressman Elroy Verde. And lastly, there's HB 1223, also for agriculture and food by Congressman Pineda, and 1 on hemp. And as per DDB, they have an approval to use FDA-approved cannabidiol via the compassionate special permit, but this is an expensive process and this is not an option. So there are talks that Senator Go will have an allocation to give it to patients for free. So with that, from the story of Charlotte, Fiji to Moon Jaden, and then that's how the medical cannabis movement started in the Philippines. And right now, we see our neighboring countries. We have South Korea making progress in cannabis as well, and Thailand as well, and Malaysia as well. So I think this is a very good opportunity for us to catch up and see how they were able to do it in their respective countries. So yeah, thank you, and back to you, Arthur. Introducing Arthur.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Good morning, everybody. My name is Arthur Reyes. I'm actually talking to you guys live from Temecula, California. The time right now here is about like almost or just right after 1:30 in the morning. So I'm a former military, actually United States Navy retired, and I got into this field for over what's about like almost 4 years now, and currently I'm representing 3 companies here in Southern California as a cannabis business consultant, and hopefully we can kick this off in the Philippines very soon. We'll just keep it short that way. All right.
So before we proceed, Arthur, we'd like to
Right.
acknowledge the presence of our other sensible members.
Absolutely, Kimmy. Basically, we have a majority of the members of Sensible Philippines. On top of that, also we are we are live right now, and we have our current followers as well. We want to welcome you guys today. Thank you very much for joining us, taking your weekend time off to be present here today. I believe we have Adrienne from Baguio City. Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
All right. All right, and then we got Wang. Say hi.
Hello, everyone.
There
Hello.
you go. All right, and I believe we have Miss Guadalyn Guerrero.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our first Cannatalk.
All right, how about to Mr. Jules Rodriguez?
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to hear what everyone's going to be talking about.
All right. How about Mr. Andrew Rosales?
He's on mute.
Check your audio, Andrew.
Hi guys.
There you go.
I hope that we can like and share this on other Facebook groups, and we hope that we can talk to more advocates. Because personally, me, I did not come out until I've had other friends to share the advocacy with. And of course, when we understand and learn the law, we should understand that it's not just for us. It's also for other people who need it the most. It's not always who would profit, but it's always for those who need it for the right to health. And it is medicine. Thank you so much.
Great. How about to attorney Henry and I?
Hey guys. Hi. I'm currently on mobile right now. My fixed broadband having a problem again. Hey, mabuhay everyone. Right now, watching and listening in other countries around Asia and other parts of the globe right now. For example, our tour right now is currently in California. So we are really located internationally. Welcome and mabuhay, and we are proud as a group, as Sensible Philippines, to host this Cannatalk. And we hope that we can learn a lot of things from our friends, our neighbors from in Asia. Thank you, and mabuhay.
All right, great reading right there. Thank you very much, Henry. How about Ed? How's it going over there? Hope he can hear me.
I think he mentioned earlier that he has bad audio. He has bad internet.
Okay, no problem. Well, best regards to you, Ed. We're here also. Hopefully we can hear you in a little bit here. So, okay, so right now let's welcome our guest speakers for today, and we're very excited to hear about what's going on with our friends in Asia. So I'd like to everybody, please give a warm applause to our guest speakers, Mr. Kang, Seok, and Miss Kitty.
Thank you.
All right. So here's how it's gonna do it. We're gonna be breaking down what's going on again with this program. We're gonna present you some topics to cover, and then you'll have two choices of your choosing, and then I'll give you about 15 to 20 minutes to discuss these topics that you'll have, and then we'll go for an open forum question and answer portion of the program. We'll say about like another 20 minutes or so, And then after that is we're gonna give the floor to our guest speakers if they have like a you know a very important word to say, any other information that they wanted to pass on to us. So so let's move on right now. So let's start with Reverend Kang. Let me do a little introduction. All right. So Reverend Kang is the third generation Methodist pastor established in Korea. He established the Korea Medical Cannabis Organization for patients and their families and medical professionals since June 2017. Tell us more about yourself, Reverend.
Okay. Thank you. Hello. I am Pastor Seok and who is the representative of the Korea Medical Cannabis Organization. And again, I would like to express my gratitude also again to Kimi of Sensible Philippines for inviting us to this meaningful event today. Let's talk about the progress of the Korean cannabis legalization movement that I prepared. First, let's watch this video. Please share the screen share. Please.
All right. So now he's now our co-host. He can share his screen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Let's watch this video. Yeah.
We're supposed to be hearing anything right now?
Yes. Before the Kimi say about the Charlotte PG's case and Philippines case. Yes, same thing is happened in South Korea. Yeah. In this video, MD Hwang, yeah, she is actually medical doctor and mother of the mother of the child with the incurable and serious epilepsy. And she is persecuted by the Korean persecution. And yeah, at this video says Korean prosecution say she is the drug smuggler. Yeah. We will talk about this case and again in the letter. Many people find it strange to say to me, why you are a pastor, but why you are doing the movement to the legalize cannabis, but however, I am a believer and the person who has a mission to help the people. Actually, actually my mission is to help the people, help the patient family. Before I became a pastor, I was serving the minority in Korea society. There are many migrant workers working in Korea. I was ministry for the migrant workers, and I work for the migrant workers. Around 2015, I suffered a major injury caused by my back, and my back is the rupture, as my back is broken. I was the I take the 4 hours I in the intensive care unit, I saw the many patients who addicted to the narcotic medicine called the opioid and benzodiazepine, and some of the patients suffered more damage from the pain medication than the pain. They addict to the opioid and benzodiazepine. So what I found as the result of the researching about the non-addictive and non-dangerous pain medicine, and I found the medical cannabis as the is the and in the same thing. Before I became a patient, I knew the cannabis was the very dangerous drug, like everyone. Cannabis is the serious drug. Cannabis is not medicine, but when I became a patient, I knew the compared to opioid and benzodiazepine, cannabis was an excellent medicine for patients and their family. In Korea, I also learned about cannabis could not be used for medical purpose under the Drug Control Act. So KMCO is an organization created by the patient and family patient family member and like me. I prepared the presentation. Yeah. I didn't know before I became a patient, but in Korea, there is already patient and patient family who were prosecuted by the prosecution for bringing cannabis, cannabis for medical purpose. One of them was the child with the incurable and serious epilepsy and their parents. Yeah, Korean prosecutor is prosecutor mom and son and mom and daughter. You said and Korean prosecutor and government said you are a drug smuggler. You are a crime, a criminal.
Right.
Yeah, but and we in other Asian country, patients with the epilepsy and their family are in the forefront of this movement to legalize cannabis, as like the Philippines and Thailand and another countries and patient and the patient family is the warrior. Yeah, fight to the government, fight to the National Assembly. Yeah, there was the fight. Here, at this moment, at this point, we feel the need to for the solidarity for the cannabis legalization movement in Asia. Yeah, and KMCO collect the case of the patient and their family prosecuted by the prosecution, and we collect the case of the patient case, and we are report to them to the media, the press, the paper, the TV station, and submit the case data to the National Assembly and the Ministry and the Ministry of Health. In the 20th century, the world made an agreement banning banning cannabis and made it impossible to even study it. That is the problem. That is the Asian countries the problem. In particular, despite the history of the traditional using the cannabis for medical and adult use in Asia, but there was the irony of the obeying the convention to ban cannabis. Yeah, actually, 20th century is the worldwide cannabis banning. We many of the Asia countries is banning the cannabis. In Korea, traditional medical book called 동의보감. Then is the 1,000 years of the traditional medical book. But this book contains the details of the prescription technique for the cannabis prescription. In the single convention on narcotic drug is established in 1961, and the Convention on Psychotropic Substance is established in 1971. Cannabis is never allowed to be used for the medical purpose or adult use. However, as you can see, the country that lead to the international cannabis banning country, whereas the U.S. and Canada and some of the country, they lead to the international banning. But now 20th century, now 21st century, US and some of the country is releasing change the regulation, and they rush to the they doing the good and rush. Yeah. First they banning the cannabis now, or they allow the they changing the regulation. They prepare the good and rush. This is just so irony. However, as you can see, the country the ban of the cannabis in the 1961 is now 60 years by 2021. This is a single convention on medical drug.
Correct. Right.
Yeah. This is the world diplomacy. Single convention. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In December of this year, the UN Drug Commission voted on revising the two convention, the single convention on narcotic drugs and convention on
Psychotropic substance.
psychotropic substance. Yeah. We KMCO. We hope that agreement is revisioning on cannabis is regulating cannabis is revised, and the cannabis can be used for medical purpose and adult use again in Asian country. But to do that, we need to the international solidarity in like today. Actually in UN change the convention, but each of the country must change the national law. Yeah. That at this point we needed to the advocacy. We needed to the advocacy movement. Yeah. We want more. That is the 2020 the situation in Korea and Asia and worldwide issue. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And some of the and I want to
discuss.
Yeah. And my yeah. Yes, and I want to say the question. Do you know what is the difference of the cannabis derived medicine and natural cannabis? In 2018, KMCO the campaigning the Korean National Assembly must pass the medical cannabis law. Yes,
Right.
and we and in 2018, Korean National Assembly allowed the medical cannabis law, but the government, Korea FDA say, oh yeah, medical cannabis is the cannabis derived medicine, and this moment, Korean government allowed the only the Epidiolex, Sativex,
That's correct.
Dronabinol, but Sativex, Epidiolex, and Dronabinol is not medical cannabis. That is the cannabis derived medicine. That is the pharmaceutical medicine, and that is a big pharma's medicine. So the same thing is the happening to the Philippines and Taiwan, and some of the FDA, some of the government prepare the change the overview of cannabis, but they declare the cannabis derived medicine is safe, but actual cannabis dangerous. That is irony. Yes, I want to say that some is the subject to the question. What is your thinking about this subject? Actually, I used the 20 minutes.
No problem. If you need a couple more minutes, Reverend, you can still take a couple minutes of our time if you want to discuss a little bit more. This is very, very interesting. I'm sure a lot of us are. Me personally, I have a few questions and inquiries, but this is very in depth what we're discussing, and it looks like you really got into a different level now compared to a lot of countries. I'm very sure how you got involved with cannabis, but I want to give you a couple more minutes to discuss additional information you could give to us, or we can wait for the question and answer portion. But I'll give you another couple more minutes if you want to continue.
Thank you for the and I want to say, as I'm a pain patient. Actually, I want the I want to put prescription by I want. Actually, I would like to get prescription for THC. Actually, THC is the pain chronic pain thing. But the government and Korean FDA say, you can prescription Epidiolex, or Epidiolex is the epilepsy
Medicine.
Medicine, and
Right.
and some of the epilepsy and they epilepsy Epidiolex is contains only CBD. That is some of the that is irony. Some of the pain patients like me, and some of the multiple pain. CRPS is the some of the many pain patients in South Korea want to the we actually we want the non-addictive medicine, and actually we want we pain patient doesn't want the opioid and benzodiazepine. Do you know the fentanyl? Fentanyl is
Fentanyl.
yes. Fentanyl is the stronger is the 10,000. Fentanyl is stronger than 100 times of the morphine. Yeah. But 이제 some of doctor prescription of fentanyl for pain patient. Yeah, fentanyl is very dangerous drug and very addictive.
Highly potent, right? More powerful than the morphine. That's right.
Okay. It is the fentanyl is the more 100 times stronger than morphine. Yeah, because of it. Yeah, okay. As the patient, we can choose the prescription not this drug. Yes, fentanyl is actually they kill the people, they kill the patient, they kill that is kills the many patients. Yeah, and in Korea, opioid and benzodiazepine, some of the sleeping pills, yes, many, and some of the, do you know the Zolpidem? Zolpidem is the sleeping pill. Many patients, many patient prescription of Zolpidem, and some of the patients.
Okay. Robert Kang,
yeah.
I'm going to cut you a little bit short over there. Okay, so everybody, let's give a round of applause to Reverend Kang. That's very, very inspirational, especially the first part of the story that you were presenting about that mother who's also a doctor and trying to help out. And we can tell that a lot of people from different countries are have similar stories, especially in the Philippines. But now, again, thank you very much for your input right there. So we go to our next guest. We have Miss Kitty. How are you doing, Miss Kitty?
Hi, I'm good. How about you?
I'm great. So what do you think about that story that Reverend Kang has presented to us? That's very inspirational, isn't it?
I actually really like the whole tradition part. I think that's something that we in Asia has a lot more than say in the US or in Europe or Canada. So like we have the whole tradition behind the cannabis use, cannabis production, and pretty much the whole tradition of how it has been used in medicine and whatnot. So and clothing as well. And so I do think that the actual tradition and cultural look into cannabis is always the very important part to get our story across from Asia.
That's correct. That's great. Well, thank you for your input. Now, I'd like to introduce you really quick here before I give you fully the floor. So, Miss Kitty Chopaka is the founder and the CEO of Elevated Estate, an industry-leading cannabis-focused expo reporting and consulting firm. Elevated Estate is an authoritative source of information and vital community hub for the cannabis industry in Thailand. And by the way, congratulations to you and to your country. One of the first and finest, I should say. Is this correct, what I just mentioned?
It's a yes-ish. There's a big ish there. But it takes baby steps, but many of them to get to say where California is. But then at the same time, it's like you guys also have a lot of problems too, just like everywhere else that legalize it. So
it'll never be perfect, I tell you.
Yeah, never. But here's the thing though, like I do find that each place has its own sets of problems, and not by using one rule for all, like the whole one ring to rule them all. Sets of rule is something silly. So Yeah. It's kind of weird. I'll get into that. Or should I start?
You can start. I mean, you have a couple topics that you wanted to cover. I'll give you I'd say about good 20 to 30 minutes. I'll give you this same courtesy as I gave to Reverend Kang, since it's going to be just the two countries that we're hosting today with Sensible Philippines. But go for it.
Well, I won't keep you guys too long because it is a lot of information to offload, and I have this habit of offloading a lot of information onto people. So I won't do too long of that, but so that it gives you and also the viewers more time to like ask questions, because that kind of really is, I do know that like where people interest lies, like asking the question of, oh, so what about this or what about that? So jumping into it, I think a lot of you guys have heard the news that Thailand has legalized medical cannabis about a year ago. Back in February, it was announced on the 18th, if I can recall, and it was effective the 19th. In itself, it did allow for medical use of medical cannabis, but at the same time, it still hasn't decriminalized the use of the drugs itself, but only allowed for use if you have a permit or a license. So that's still very limited. It's still very difficult to, I wouldn't say it's difficult to get it. It's more of there's only about 21 or so clinics in Thailand, and that 21 clinics, only about 3 is open Monday through to Friday, normal business time, while the others are open only 1 or 2 days a week for only 2 to 3 hours. So the difficulty of having access to medical cannabis is still a thing. Also, the fact that because it hasn't actually decriminalized the use of it, people are still getting, how shall I say, I'm not going to be polite about it. People are getting roadside piss tested on a daily basis.
Really?
I'm just putting it out there. It's like there's no way you can make it any prettier, but that's kind of not really how you legalize a drug. Normally, you would allow for decriminalization first, so that people are legally allowed to use the drug itself, and then moved on to research and cannabis. Thailand, we kind of jumped over legalization and just went straight into research and medical. So that's another thing that kind of we did differently. One other thing, how shall I say, cannabis and hemp over here also is 2 different things and 2 different sets of law. And the only difference for hemp and cannabis is 1% THC. So that's a general for Thailand, which is not too bad. The US has it worse, which is 0.3, and some part of EU has 0.2. So at about 1%, we are still able to grow CBD or hemp within this range. But usually, I've actually talked to the Hmong people or the hill tribes, and they actually do like to have the strains that are THC that is a bit higher for their fibers, because THC is actually a part of how the fibers are actually more strong and better to use. So there's still that to be ironed out, but overall right now hemp is considered anything less than 1%. Anything above 1% is THC. In terms of production and whatnot, is actually government produced. And the medicine that are coming out is actually produced by the government themselves, and it's free right now. Yes, even though there's limited access, we are having our cannabis oil, cannabis tinctures for free. Because right this moment, it's a special access scheme because cannabis itself hasn't went through the whole pharmaceutical path as if you would do if you do, say, make paracetamol. Like, you need to do like another 8 to 10 years of human trials. You need to, and then move forward at each step with the FDA. So because cannabis itself is not that, it is running through a special access scheme. That is also why there's a 5-year embargo on the cannabis industry itself to the government departments, government university, as well as government hospitals. So like for any producers to be producing cannabis, they need to work together with the government. No private sector are allowed to have their own licenses yet. Export is kind of not really allowed. Import is also not really allowed. Only for strains is allowed, but that's kind of its own ballpark altogether because there's only about 31 producers here in the country.
Great.
So
Wow.
Overall, the cannabis is still a very limited access, whether you're a user, you're a business person, you're kind of anyone like within the industry itself that doesn't have a multi-million baht into play. So that's kind of the status of Thailand legal cannabis industry right now. In terms of hemp, though, we're still under this current rule where there's only 5 provinces and 15 or 21, I don't recall. Like they keep on increasing it every now and again. In terms of districts, can be producing hemp, but that's only still for research purposes. And that rule for in terms of the private sector going into it is not going to be open until I think about the 9th or the 10th of January next year. So, but at the same time, there's a draft regulation for hemp within Parliament right now that I would say hopefully it will come out sometime in September or October, where
of this year.
the actual hemp farming, where actual hemp farming by private sector can actually be allowed. So that one's something that we keep our fingers crossed. Everyone is waiting for that because think about it. If you're going to do CBD, that way you just have to wait for this rule. Because if you start now, you're stuck with a university or hospital, and dealing with governments in Asia is not advisable ever. So this is how much trust I give in my own government. Okay.
We understand.
So that's why everyone's kind of waiting for the hemp regulation right now. In terms of, I would say, struggle and challenges that we have right here is, I think it's similar to a lot of Asian countries, and especially Southeast Asia, is like the systematic problem that's already exists within the government and society itself. Like in the overall general terms, I would say like from nepotism to stigma to, like they're adults and you're a child, like the whole ranking of society and that type of thing, and not understanding rights and not respecting other people's rights. So I do feel that that is a major obstacle because if the people that are making the rules don't understand the basic of human rights, they're not going to be making rules that will give rights to people. So and corruption is kind of the norm here. And with Thailand, especially being like remember there were numbers came up like 40% is the average corruption rate here. So if you're going to do business here in Thailand, and especially for cannabis, I would say add another 20% on top of that. And nepotism is another big thing, which is like if you don't know someone, you won't get the license. But then at the same time, currently the people that are usually getting licenses are the people that has no clue about cannabis. But it's because that they know someone,
Right.
or has the cash, or like, you know, the general what would happen if you do some business in Asia.
Exactly. It's almost like a tradition.
Yeah. Pretty much. So in terms of access, it's still very limited for small guys and the general public. But overall, with moving forward, I would say it's just general education and hope. And it's not just educating about cannabis itself, but it's also like education for people understanding rights, their own rights, as well as how to respect other people's rights. So until we get that kind of basic up and going, cannabis won't actually move anywhere in Thailand. Like, because you got to understand that cannabis is usually probably the last thing on people's minds. Like, gay marriage will probably come beforehand. You know, and all this, like, you know, the children's rights, the students' rights, and all of those other things like social services would actually come before cannabis itself. But at the same time, like, it does take a major understanding of people as in general, and how you can actually respect their rights before it can actually get there. So hopefully by the time cannabis is legalized, the place would be a better society because of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I mean, I have to tell you that people in Thailand are taking a good advantage of this. But I mean, we envy you guys. At least there's a huge progress. It's already given that government will really regulate this, and I'm sure the Philippines will do that once everything has been passed and whatnot. It's a struggle, I know, but looking at how Thailand has at least legalized this to your country. I mean, it's a big step. I would say it's a really big step. It's still, I would still think that there's a lot of possibilities that that it could create, especially what you just mentioned about the hemp farming. So that is a huge thing. I mean, for us in the Philippines, if we get that, imagine how a lot of our farmers for our agriculture would help the economy, and I think that's where Thailand is heading to. Correct me if I'm wrong.
But here's the thing, though. Like, if we're only looking at helping the economy, we're only focusing on the guys that are up top, that are, like, say, in the stock exchange. Like, increase the GDP, but overall, it's going to be the same set system. Because, like, even with hemp or CBD, more than likely it will be contract farming. Contract farming, like, we're in Asia, no, contract farming sucks. It equates to the guy who's buying it can push down the price. They are looking after and they are controlling the strains, how you are growing, all of those things, set the standards. And then it gets to the point where no matter what you do, you cannot reach that standard. So I don't see having cannabis as, yes, another economic plant, but if you're going to ruin it just like rice, palm oil, rubber, sugar, and corn, then maybe you should really look at it in a different
way.
So,
all right.
a lot of things is that it looks like really great in the news. This is one thing I can tell you now. It looks wonderful in the news. Underneath the rug itself, it's nothing for the people. It's nothing for the public. They may put up a sign that goes patient, but overall, it's always the big guys in the back. So it's as sad as that sounds, it's just the reality that we have to deal with.
And I agree with you, and I believe most countries that are pushing for for this to be legalized will have similar I would say problem as well. And like you said, maybe in the news, or it is in the news, it looks great for Thailand and this and that, but in reality, a big portion of it is hurting your economy or what have you. Is that my perception correct?
Pretty much. It looks great, but overall in itself, like if you actually look into the details, it's not that wonderous. It's how shall I say? Do take everything with a grain of salt.
Grain of salt.
Especially with news that comes out from even general news. It's like clickbait. It's like Thailand has legalized something, or
right.
This has now been accepted, and it's like, dude, it takes another 2 years before it gets there. Like, report on that, but no, that doesn't get the clicks, that doesn't get the shares, that doesn't get the likes. So it's kind of all of that as well, and I do see that there's a lot of people, whether it's in Thailand or actually overseas, like if you notice a lot of the companies that are in the stock exchange, there would be usually some news about cannabis and then their stock goes up. Like, same thing also happens here, and it will happen to the next place that it becomes legalized. And it's the same constant trying to make it seem a lot bigger than it is. And because of that, people think it's going to make them money. The cha-ching's going to deliver them from that, and which likely it won't any better than growing rice or anything else. But that's just the harsh reality. But until people understand that yes, you can actually make money from it, that is not something like, say, South Park. Describing the underwear gnome, like, you steal underwear, you do something to it and then profit. Like, people think that cannabis or hemp or CBD or whatever within this range equates to grow it, something, profit.
That's it. That's how we think. It's human nature.
So but that's not it. There's so much complexity within it. Like, why is a dude selling hemp fibers in China, why does it only cost like $1 or 50 cents? While at the same time, if you have the hemp shirt in Milan that is designed, like a designer piece, then that will cost thousands and thousands of dollars.
Dollars a year.
And same set of same material, everything else. It's kind of they don't realize that yes. Cannabis is a huge industry. You can make it big. This is probably like the next, almost like a .com era, or the era of the apps or the Android. This is the new one, just like Bitcoin. But don't be stupid going into it. A lot of people lost a lot of money during the .com, Bitcoin, and all those eras.
And then when it crashed.
And it's usually because you don't have enough information about it. So,
True. I agree. Well, I mean, I'm gonna save all my questions. I'm sure my other members can't wait and dying to ask questions to you both, Reverend Kang and Kitty. Kimmy, before I end this part, I just wanted to make sure if Kumar is online already.
Well, he said he's coming, but how would you like to proceed?
Actually, I'd like to proceed with a question and answer already, and then once he comes in, and we'll just we'll do a quick intro, and then we'll give him a few minutes to to tell him about what he wants to discuss, at least like a one topic. But for us to utilize the time right now, we should open the floor to our members. And then if we have our Facebook viewers who wants to just send some a message or some questions to us, so we could answer that accordingly. But let's open this forum to our members. And Kimmy, I would like for you to kick it off, and then we go from our next members. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Let me go ahead and ask Pastor Kang first, because like he mentioned earlier, it's like him being a pastor and being an advocate of something that is classified as an illegal substance. I mean, how does that affect your relationship? Because we all know we are in a Southeast Asian region wherein we have a lot of conservative members of society, and you being a pastor, I mean, uh, it's hard enough. I mean, it's hard enough for you to talk to regular people, conservative people. And so, how was it for you being a pastor? How did it affect your church mates or family members and friends?
Actually, actually, my family, my family is our family or a family of a member is my grandfather was the pastor. My father was the pastor. My uncle is the pastor. Yeah. Actually, third generation and mother-in-law. Yeah, everything is the pastor, elder. Yeah, but when I started the vision with the migrant workers and some of minority in Korea. Yes, in the two side of the Christianity. Some of the conservative movement, but it's the social change movement. Yes, it's my my mission is the change the world. That is the social mission. But that and 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 my grandfather was the pastor and martyr. He uh, he is a Korean Christianity in martyr. I want to say this is the Bible says and Jesus Christ said Jesus Christ heal the who the patient possession by devil. Possession by devil, that is the actually now in modern modern MD stage, the possession by devil is the epilepsy. Yeah. Possession by the devil in Bible said the some of the people is possession by the devil, but it's now some of the MD researchers say the Bible says the epilepsy, but yeah, as you know, medical cannabis cure the epilepsy and some of the dementia and some Parkinson disease and some of the other disease. Or some of the case, even the cancer, and some of the PTSD or PTSD or veteran war heroes, PTSD, and some of the suicidal issue. Yeah, some of suicide issue, and my in South Korea, many of the entertainer was suicide. Do you know the K-pop?
Yes.
Star?
Yes.
K-pop star was the
One of commit suicide.
Yeah,
committed suicide. Yeah.
Commit suicide. That is the social problem. Yeah, some of the entertainer, some of the singer, some of the some actor.
Celebrities.
Yeah. A celebrity every year is the celebrity get suicide and this say they use the zolpidem sleeping pill. Sleeping pill and anti-depression drug. Yeah, some of the very dangerous drugs. They prescription by the some of psychiatrists, the sleeping pill, benzodiazepine, some of the antidepressant pills. Yeah, and in churches say, Bible said, and some of the believers said, you don't commit the suicide. Yeah, we must prevent the suicide because we at this point, yeah, when I say the let's legalize the cannabis. Cannabis for medical purpose and some of the other to use. But what is the it's your organization name is Sensible Philippines, and then it's sensible. Yeah, and some of we can and this is in my opinion, but that is so Christian that is not difference with Christianity and some of believers. Yeah, that's in this moment is as the pastor, as a believer. Yeah, I am the I am a support. I am a supporter of the medical cannabis. Yeah, so some and but not that patient not or who was not a patient family. Some said, oh, yes, many of the Korean people said, oh, cannabis is the and marijuana. Cannabis is the very very dangerous drug. Say, oh, that is not that is not true. That is the ridiculous. Yeah. So what?
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Kang.
And can I also ask Kitty the same question?
Absolutely.
While we're at it.
Why not, right, Kitty?
Yeah, I'm good. Hit me.
How's it for you? I mean, you being a mother and a female, when you came out as a cannabis advocate, how was it like for you first?
I actually got really taken back a bit about the whole look thing. How they usually comment if you don't actually put on makeup or do your hair or wear something nice. It's like it just shows the whole sexism and blows that out of the water. It was actually a struggle because it wasn't really that you're struggling with anyone. You're struggling with yourself. Trying to identify as to who are you? Where is your line? What do you want to represent? How far can you go? Can you make a joke? Can you make it funny? If you make it funny, will they take you seriously? And all of those things, and then trying to figure out how to communicate to people properly as to what you want to say. Because I actually realized that if you're not going to be dressing the part, at least the stuff that comes out of your mouth should be something that is up to the part and able to communicate to all levels and walks of life. So I normally, with talks and speeches and whatnot, I like to know my audience so that I can actually just get straight to the point because I try to remove as much judgment from that conversation as much as I could. And sometimes I even ask people to can you just stop thinking about what you've learned, just put that over there for a second, hear me out, and then afterwards you can wear that judgy hat as much as you want and go for it. But it's just kind of also trying to act the stuff that you say, because I think you also understand if you're within this space of, drugs, you're going to see places. And as a female, I've seen places. And a lot of times it's not really, it's not uncommon for me to be the only female apart from the wife of the place where I actually went to, with other 10 or 20 men. Overall, everyone is kind of nice and very accommodating. But at the same time, it's like also trying to educate them in the whole point of, that you guys shouldn't really exclude females, and that, by conjugating like this, most females would actually be really scared of you and think that you guys are druggies and all of the above. But overall, everyone is just, it's nice. And the nicest, the funniest, telling stories. It's so cool and cute. But the image is usually something else, and people tend to judge before they experience the whole, how shall I say, the cannabis community as a whole. So I do feel that I try not to be like a person that's above there, so that, that no one can reach me. I want to be the one that's on ground and be able to talk to anyone about anything possible regarding cannabis, whether it's philosophy of use or like the whole philosophy of it, all the way through to like what would make a good business doing cannabis in a particular set of areas, or like what would our society look like in about 10 years time, and how cannabis would be governed in terms of internationally. So I think the making sure that you know your shit helps you a long way and knows how to communicate in this society. And trust me, I don't, like, as soon as someone like trying to call me out about something that I know that is not, I'm not afraid to, reply.
Say, yeah. Say.
You're not afraid, excuse me. You don't know who you're talking to.
Right.
With all niceness and all.
Yeah. Like, excuse me, like, yeah. So that's I think that's also the same. I can also say the same here. And with the excuse me part, it's not that it's not like to the point of like you being the arrogant that they are, but it's like informing them like, hey, hear me out, okay? I have something to say. Hear me out.
And here's the worst thing about being female in this. Like, where do you draw the line to where it's whining or considered to be whining? Because, don't forget,
or
they put like hysteria and all of those other things onto you. So like, and being a mom, so like the assumption of being a bad mother, it's like, okay, you can assume that I'm a bad mother. I usually pick up my kids every day and I cook them dinner every day. But that's a bad mom. That's cool. We're good with that.
Yeah, it's them and their judgment.
Yeah, and it's got nothing to do with cannabis overall.
Yeah.
You can understand that. It's like it's got absolutely nothing to do with cannabis.
Exactly. Awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Said. Thank you.
So we can also probably ask other members. Now's the time if you'd like to ask Reverend Kang or Kitty, anybody from our group.
I have a question, Pastor. Hello?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah. Okay.
So what was the biggest challenge that you encountered in the legalization process? What is the biggest challenge that you experienced in the legalization process? And how did you overcome that challenge? Thank you so much.
Yeah. First thing is the stigma. Yeah. Stigma. I don't know about the Philippine situation. But you are caught by police in for cannabis in South Korea. The media said you are media is treat the like murder crime. Yeah, like cannabis. Some of guys possess the cannabis. The media, paper, or some of TV said that all some of the people of Seoul good of the cannabis, or that guy is the murderer. Media said like the murderer. That is stigma. Yeah, it's a stigma is the reproduced by the media and some of the government people that reproduce the stigma. And at this point, people I show the video or the mothers, some of the mothers face the video. Yeah, that is the first video. The benefit of the cannabis. That is the in Korean media history. That video is the first says the what is the benefit of marijuana. That is the in Korean media history. Yeah, that is the movement, and then is campaigning, that is advocacy, and we must say in the media company and paper, some of the paper. Yeah, I send the letter. Yeah, patient and patient family is not drug smuggler. They are just the patient. They just the patient family. Why media says the patient says the drug smuggler, and some of the media says the patient is like murderer or murder thing. Yeah, this is what KMCO is doing. It's we fight the social atmosphere. Yeah, social. Some of the ordinary people. Yeah, not patient. Not patient. Some other people say, yeah, the same thing. It's South Korea, Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia. Yeah, ordinary people, not patient people, is the same thing that is shared. So we must block the stigma, and but we research when what time stigma is the growth only 50 years before the 20th century. Every Korean people use the cannabis as the medicine. It's before only the 100 years. Yeah, Korean traditional doctor use the cannabis as the medicine, and some of the Korean people 100 years ago. Yeah, even the Korea use the cannabis is the adult use, but banning is not the what banning is one century. Yeah, history government propaganda is very dangerous. Yeah, it's the actually this this movement and this campaigning is the social change movement. So people, yes, and some of the we needed to many supporter, or not. We must we must change the some of the society thing. Yeah, that, yeah.
Thank you, Pastor.
Yeah.
So if I may recap what you said, it's more of the stigma of the people, and you were able to overcome it through campaigning. If I would have a follow-up question, Pastor, what was the most effective campaign platforms did you use? How did you show it to the people that it was medicine? Because I remember I saw a post of you and a rapper. So this showed the cultural mix between you and of course a pastor and a rapper. So this shows that you're trying to break the status quo, the stigma here that this is more beyond you, beyond the musical sense, beyond this. So maybe you could give us some tips on what points to harp on. Let's say these words really resounded with the Korean people, because it might be effective for us as well here in the Philippines and perhaps in other Southeast Asian countries. So perhaps like I keep hearing for you medicine, 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 and I think that's a good way to forward the idea. But perhaps maybe you've had other keywords or effective uses of technology to change the stigma, Pastor Kang.
Yeah. Yeah. In South Korea, if some of the celebrity is caught in possession of cannabis, they can no longer be broadcast. Yeah, they can no longer be broadcasted. But some of some people who have committed or other crime, they can also appear in the broadcast. Yeah, but celebrity is caught in possession of cannabis, or they can no longer be protected. Yeah, yes, in Vice article, yeah, in Came show, it's collaboration with the hip hop artist, it's the Bill Stacks. Yeah, yeah, we are collaborate the cannabis legalized cannabis movement. Yeah, that is the so Bill Stacks is just it's the same thing. Bill Stacks the banning the broadcast. Yeah. So he is the so famous, but he is the banning the broadcast and some of the internet and some of the performing and some of other people. Yeah. But so 사실 we came to accept the any kind of supporter. Yeah. Some of hip hop artists, some of the artists, some of the painter, some of the But it's the as you know, the cannabis is also the cultural thing. Yeah. As some of the cultural keep it to the people use the cannabis. Cannabis is the as the yeah. So actually advocacy actually in cannabis legalization movement we must collaborate with the artists, some of the cultural gifted people. Yeah, that is the yeah. Actually, yeah. Some cases actually cultural thing and religious thing and the patient. Yeah. Actually we needed to the some of kind of the supporter and various people and some of the many people. Yeah. And yeah. That's it.
Thank you so much, Pastor. Maybe we can ask Kitty. Do we have questions for Kitty as well, or do we go back to Pastor Kang? Thank you so much, Pastor Kang. I see that I've lost your breath and had to drink water. Thank you so much. It's really enlightening, and I think, especially if an OPA is endorsing your OPA, your K-pop idols would endorse these medicines, this would really change the perspective of the people in Korea.
Actually, people I say in Korea, in the Korea society is opioid crisis. Opioid crisis, and in the opioid crisis, cannabis is essential. Yes, cannabis is essential thing. This year, on article in Korean newspaper, the article subject is it takes 7 minutes to get a prescription for fentanyl. Prescription for fentanyl. It takes the 7 minutes. When you come to the clinic, I have the chronic pain, and the prescription the fentanyl, the 100 more stronger the morphine, the fentanyl thing is it only takes the 7 minutes. That is the opioid crisis. I think it's the rational and some cannabis sensible. The cannabis prescribe the cannabis rather than the sleeping pills like Zolpidem to people to the sleep disorder. This is the medical purpose and adult use. But this is the some of our people need to the what is the reason to the legalize cannabis? We must make the reason the simple reason and simple reason and to convince the some of the people. The medical purpose, adult use, and some the cultural thing. Is the and this article and campaigning and actually Hemp show make this speaker. In Korean word, this word is the medical cannabis is the essential thing. It's a simple thing, and it's the medical cannabis problem of extension. This is some of the people, some of so we need we make the simple word and simple simple thing, but not simple. That particular the serious thing. This is the that people you say this is the human right and human cannabis is the legalized cannabis is the human right. But that is the simple idea, but that is the big wave to the society.
Arthur, kindly unmute your mic.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Can you guys hear me now? Yeah. Yeah. So I was saying maybe maybe a couple question or for Miss Kitty. I think we have a few people who would like to ask you several questions, Kitty.
Okay, sorry I dropped off earlier.
No problem.
I have a question for Kitty.
Go ahead.
Hello. Also, I think two questions now from one of our members as well. First of all, asking you who are your strongest government allies, and a follow-up question on that is, what was the strongest approving point that the government said yes to medical cannabis?
Okay. Let's start with the approving point. I don't say it's something like that. There's not really how shall I say a consensus of how they go. Oh yeah, it gets to this society gets to this point that cannabis is okay. It's more of a collective work of many advocacy and a lot of people within the medical community as well as the education community that kind of been pushing for this for the longest time. A lot of people actually believe that the new minister of health is the one who kind of made cannabis came out in terms of like legalization of medical cannabis as fast as it did, but actually no, it's something that has been in the works for about a good 2-3 years beforehand, before it actually before he actually came into position. So I do say that it's just been snowballing, and advocates just keep on pushing and pushing and pushing. Like, you want more information, I'll get you information. You want to know about this, we'll get you information about that. So I think that's kind of pretty much where it all stems from. And but in terms of when it legalized, like in February, the decision for it was actually made way back in December as well. So it's like it's something that has been on an ongoing process. In terms of allies, technically, it's actually really difficult to find allies, especially in the government itself. The people that I work with in Thailand, the advocacy group here in Thailand, even though 3 of them are actually in Parliament assisting and helping with the lawmaking of minor regulation that are supposed to come out and all the different drafts that has been put in there. But overall, it's like no one is still not really listening to you anyway, or only going to listen to you if they're going to benefit something from it. Don't forget that it is like kind of like a dogfight where everyone thinks that cannabis is something that is like godly and will make them loads and loads and loads of money. So there's the whole jealousy, making sure that no one else gets it, only I gets it, and the general fight that is kind of very dirty from the start. So
everybody wants a piece of the pie.
Oh yeah, everyone wants that pie. Like, I don't understand it. It's like and here's the weirdest thing. I'm only how shall I say? A lot of people do ask, like, why are you doing this, Kitty? Why? Like, what's the whole point of it? It's like, I just want to be able to use legally without getting like criminalized for it. It's as simple as that. And the fact that I have to do this whole bloody thing to get to there shows that like we don't have a society that actually respects people's rights. And we also have a society that is scared of something that is new, as well as something that that is just illogical and no scientific fact. So it's just kind of, yeah, there's not really any government allies because they have their own set agenda. And if we throw politics into the mix, that's even worse. I actually really hate the fact that a lot of politicians like to use cannabis as one of their, like gain new voters tactic. It's very smart, but I do feel that our politics are very dirty, and I don't like having cannabis get involved with something that is so as dirty as politics itself.
Although it's inevitable, huh?
Oh yeah, everyone says so, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you'll be running soon." I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
I can't run. I walk."
You mentioned earlier, actually, as far as
okay.
the
Go ahead.
you know what? I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, follow it up, please.
No, it's okay. I'm good.
Okay. So Miss
I was
Kitty,
okay. There was just a delay.
go ahead.
Okay. May I?
Proceed.
Listening to your what's nice about what I heard on your discussion, Miss Kitty, is that all the advocates are united. Is it right?
No, not at all. Everyone's doing their own thing. So like even without unity, it still gets there. So I think that's a sound of hope that you guys can have, even without unity, because you can understand that everyone, whether there are advocates, whether they are businesses or whatnot, it's the fight for that pie. So I actually do find it. It's getting there. Well, we're getting to the point where there's smaller businesses that are looking at more responsible in terms of like profit, in terms of what they will have to give back to the society or the community in terms of their business structure.
Okay.
There are still hope. But it takes time. A lot of things takes time. Like even with Thailand legalizing cannabis in February, people are still having a difficult time having access to information. I'm not talking about cannabis itself. I'm just talking about information itself about it. That is not fake news, or that is not like, come on, guys. I understand Rick Simpson is a good guy back in the days, but the technology has moved a lot further.
A lot. Oh yes, absolutely.
And a lot safer for patients and whatnot. And all of that is, it takes years to educate the public. It takes years for them to understand that, as something as simple as beer if you drink it, you will get drunk. It's the same thing, I would say. So all we can do is give them time, and then also we should give the public the benefit of the doubt that they won't ruin themselves with a drug.
I agree. So really, it's I think Pastor Kang also said that it's the stigma. It's really the education we have to say to the public, especially here in the Philippines. It's a known for a Catholic Christian community, so it's really a blockage as well.
Yes.
All right. You know what? Go ahead, please.
Yeah. In the Bible, the Genesis.
Genesis.
Genesis says that the Bible says some of the creature of the plant and weed. Yeah, God can make plant, can make the weed. And Genesis say, Adam and Eve eat the plant. Yeah. Some of the Catholic Church and some of the Protestant Church said, Genesis says God created some plant. Yeah, that is the God, and at this point, cannabis is also plant can make thing. Why some of the believers says the denied the can make the thing? That is not logical. Yeah. Some are I'm as a Methodist pastor. Some of the progressive theories educate. I learned the progressive theology in the ministry seminary, but some of the progressive, some who wants to change the world, change societies, some of the believer and pastor and some of the people. Yeah, we can. It's the same thing. We believe the Bible thing. Yeah, Bible. Some of the Genesis, Exodus. Yeah, some of the old Israel hope. Israel hope is the describes the Old Testament. Yeah. As you know, the Raphael McClellan, yeah, Israel THC scientist, yeah, Israel Hebrew University, yeah, there's the same thing. Israel the traditionally use the herb as the herb, as the traditional medicine, as the cannabis. And some in worldwide banning the cannabis, Israel researcher the traditional thing, and that base is the Bible. Yeah, Israel. Yeah, Israel is the.
I'm gonna butt in right there. I would like to say that possibly the burning bush that was mentioned in the Bible is probably weed. You ain't gonna do that.
Actually,
that's a good one, Kitty.
Yeah, I think we're gonna quote Kitty on that.
Actually,
you know what, Kitty? I will remember that every time I watch that.
That is not not only Christianity, but other religion says the same thing. Also, you know, assassin. Yeah, assassin is from the Hesse seed. It's the Central Asia, Central Asia. Some of the other religion, the old scripture said the natural herb. Yeah, they Christian. Yeah. Some of the old scripture say, even the Bible, some of the other religion scripture said the old thing.
Amen.
They need to say the more sensible and the more national thing. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you.
You know, guys, I mean, I am bombarded here with a lot of questions, also directed to Miss Kitty. Kitty, if you have a few moments, I'd like to address some of the questions that we have from our viewers as well. I mean again, the power of social media. Anyway, Kitty, can you still hear us?
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things that I wanted to follow up earlier, you mentioned earlier about that hemp farming. Now, is there any interest in hemp seed production in Thailand?
There are some. I'm trying to convince a bunch of people that it's actually really cool. All it is because I do like cooking with hemp seeds and hemp flour, and just general baking, because it's actually really yummy. But not that many people are looking at it, because a lot of focus is actually on CBD, because it's multi-million, it's this expensive, it's because of all of that, it's usually the focus of where most people talk about hemp. But I'm all pushing it for hemp seeds, especially for how shall I say, meat replacement, hemp milk, and all those other soy products that we normally have here. I think hemp would be a very good replacement, especially for the older generation, which they tend to be the biggest market for.
Right. A few more questions before, and just to let everybody know, I believe Kumar has joined in, and we'll go back to him and do a little bit intro. But I wanted to focus on these questions that they've been really wanting to know. Apparently, I mean, we are doing very well live right now. So I got a question from Miss Anne Marie. How effective is medical cannabis to your patients in your country? And is there are any patients that testify that they're that they have improved? It's because of the government.
Okay. Since the legalization of medical cannabis, the access scheme is actually government run. So they have been actually collecting data, and from the data that came out around the end of last year or the beginning of this year was a high improvement for a lot of patients, especially for, I think there were, which one was it? There were some palliative care patients that were doing well, especially as well as epilepsy. And they actually found that a lot of CBD products is the one that's doing the most good. So a lot of time Thailand medicine is going to be focusing on CBD related products, I would say, in the near future, more than actual THC itself. But slowly they are opening up a bit more, how shall I say, symptoms to be prescribed medical cannabis, but that is still in the works. So like migraine is coming, and I think pain, as well as PTSD and insomnia, if I can recall, like they're really looking at it from the psychological perspective as well. So a lot of those are slowly opening up too.
Right.
But all of that is still, we have to wait until there's any announcement, because for anything to be law in Thailand, there has to be an announcement. So until there's an announcement, it doesn't count.
Right. It's very similar how they did in the United States, for a lot of us, like you mentioned, it starts with the symptoms and then to the diagnosis. And a lot of the doctors here are going more in depth and start prescribing, cannabis to their patients. All right. Well, I mean, I've got a couple more questions for you. This one is from JJ.
Yeah.
I'll just call him JJ. So how long you've been in a cannabis advocate, and what advice can you give to a new advocate doing a campaign?
Okay. How long have I been here? I think, I don't recall. I've done Highland 420, 3 years now. So I think about 3 to 4-ish years. In terms of advice, read up. If you hate papers, if you hate research papers, if you hate law papers, if you hate reading the law, you're gonna love them by the end, because that.
Did we lose her? Hello, Miss Kitty, you there? I think we lost the feed. Is everybody? Can everybody hear me? Okay, that's me.
I can hear you.
Arthur.
I think Kitty got disconnected, or maybe her signal is down.
Right.
Moving on.
I think we lost Kitty there for a moment. Can everybody hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. We got cut off, but we're probably going to go back with her because I got a couple more questions here. But we just want to welcome Sir Kumar. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, hi, Arthur. Nice to meet you guys. Thank you for having
Good
me.
for you to join us.
Yeah,
Definitely, you missed a lot of grounds that we covered today.
yes.
I'm going to give you the floor for a little bit. Why don't you just tell us about who you are and I'd like for you to discuss some grounds here regarding cannabis in your country and personal experience.
Okay. Thank you very much, Arthur. First of all, I'd
You're
like
very
to
welcome.
thank Kimi for inviting me here. I'm sorry I just took some time to join, but I'm here now. So basically, okay, my name is Harish Kumar. I'm from the organization Malaysia Society of Awareness. So that stands for MASA in Malaysia, MASA. Okay, so basically, MASA is an NGO, a non-profit NGO, which is focused to become the center for psychedelic plant research and also alternative medicine. So we are looking into becoming somewhat like MAPS in the United States, and also we are also advocating for human rights. So decriminalization of drugs, that's one thing that we're pushing forward. Support, don't punish. Because while we were advocating for cannabis, we realized that it was also important to look at decriminalization as a whole, because the act of putting people in jail in Malaysia, we have about 62,000 prisoners in our jails, which was only made to hold about 45,000 people. So 56% of those people in jail, that's more than 36,000 people, is all is in jail because of drug use. So it's either opioids or other type of drugs. So cannabis, what they call people who were caught with cannabis only makes up about 4%. But still, it is not the right action to put people in jail and not give them a second chance to learn and improve in life. So yeah, that's basically what MASA does. We are human rights advocate organization, and also a research development and education center for psychedelic plants and alternative medicine. So recently we also have invited Ms. Kimi as our advisor. I'm glad to have her on board as well. So our idea is to become a center, a platform where we collaborate with all these countries all around, especially Southeast Asia, like Thailand, India, Philippines, and all these neighboring countries, and bring all of those scientific evidence, research, maybe some updates about products, anything that is news about cannabis or psychedelic plants, or even alternative medicine to keep healthy. We would like to share it on our website. So we have a blog space. We're sharing all the scientific studies done by countries. There, so that Malaysians, and we translate it into Bahasa Malaysia so that Malaysians understand what is going on. Okay, so far we've collaborated with a few countries like Slovenia, who's doing a lot of clinical trials, especially for depression, anxiety. So we're sharing all of that on the website.
Amazing. It looks like there's a lot of progress going on from your country.
Yeah, by the government level, I mean, by law, there's nothing much really happening yet. The government has now actually opened up for hemp research. So they are planning to plant hemp for fibers and also for the seed oils. But they are still far away from looking into THC. So what MASA, what our organization is proposing is a clinical trial, and I believe this is something that is beneficial for all Southeast Asian countries as well. If you guys can join us to do the research, which is basically using THC to treat major depression. So we are following the protocol done by MAPS, which is FDA approved. So what is the main objective of this clinical trial is basically to prove that THC it is actually causing people to fluctuate from beta mind frequency or the conscious state into alpha state, which is a semi-meditative state of mind. So this particular knowledge, if we can transfer, by scientific evidence, that's showing that it is not similar as getting drunk and everything else, but something natural that if people use it in the right way, is good for the mental health. It's good for psychology and stuff like that. So that is our goal. To end the stigma is to complete this clinical trial. We are now at the stage of finding funds, actually, because MAPS was able to successfully collect, I think, $20 million earlier this year for their research. So that is something that MASA is looking forward to do as well.
Well, what I'm hearing from you is that you have a good support from your government, even for just working with the agriculture hemp plant seed. Is that my understanding? And also with the THC, you have this research going on under the works with MEPS, but still you have the backing of the government. Is that correct?
We are working with the government basically on hemp only at the moment, because hemp is what they agreed upon. But as an organization, when we came into the movement, our main goal was to legalize the whole plant, especially THC. So we're still advocating for that. We're still trying to get the permission for research in Malaysia. But the idea is, if we have our own funds, we can do the research in Thailand. We can do the research in India, which India actually invited us to do the research in India. But of a collaborative effort, but we need some funds. So in that manner, if we publish it in the international journal, Malaysia can refer to that as well. Is applicable worldwide. So that's what we're trying to do. We are not really looking forward for the government grants, which we are not sure whether they are going to approve it. When they're going to approve it. So we are going in a private, a private direction. Yeah.
Great. All right, very good information coming from you, Kumar. I'm gonna go back to Miss Kitty. I think there were like a couple of questions that. Are you back? You there with that?
I'm back. I'm fully back. I put my phone on. It's now on stable internet.
Good.
Going back to that question. You will need to read a lot of research papers. You will need to read a lot of law papers, and don't always believe the media. Always have at least two sources when you're actually gonna share information about cannabis. Like, this is a general advice to pretty much every advocacy, because don't forget, if you're not a doctor, they will fight you to the teeth. And by having more than two sources of respectable source as well, so like proper journal papers, you can actually at least use that to fight your way through and fight, illogical thinking or general stigma. But at the same time, also trying to, when you communicate that out, use simple terms so that they also understand what you are actually talking about. So I think that would be the main advice for advocates within the cannabis space. Like, know your shit, and also make sure that you have supporting evidence.
Right. So additional question for this matter. if you compare the rules and regulations in general layman's terms, for someone to make it easy to understand, what is really the law in Thailand in comparison to America as far as the age-wise, the legal amount and whatnot. So what is not true and what is true?
Okay. So people are usually used to the whole idea of going to the doctor, getting a card, getting the ID card, the medical card. I actually have one from California. I never actually used it, but I just wanted to get a card for the sake of getting a card. I'm kind of very well taken care of when I'm over in the US, which is,
of course,
like awesome. But people are used to the image of getting an ID card, and then you take that card to any dispensary to get your cannabis. That is absolutely not the case here in Thailand. Here in Thailand, usually tourists will not able to have access to it. Normally, you have to go to a clinic, a cannabis clinic, which is a proper licensed one. There is, they are mainly government run. There has been one or two that I've found that are private run that has been allowed to distribute legal cannabis medicine, but that is kind of very limited as to the amount that they actually have to distribute. And in terms of legal private clinic is still not really a thing. So you actually have to go to the doctor, tell them what you have, and they will see whether they're gonna allow you, they're gonna prescribe the cannabis to you or not. Apologies for that one. So with that, you have to be 20 and over. But at times, doctors may go against you in terms of judging you. If you're pretty much 20, they will probably prefer to have a 30-plus-year-old patient with I would say like with a proper medical background as well. So it's like in terms of access, it's very limited, and you also have judgy doctors, so you can't just go in and go like, I really need cannabis because of A, B, C, D. You can't just go in and go, oh yeah, I'm not sleeping well, so can you please prescribe me cannabis? That just doesn't really happen. Overall, there's about 2 sets of medicines as well that is available in our system. So we have the modern medicine set, which is about 6 different symptoms that they will prescribe it for, and Thai traditional medical set, which is another 36 symptoms. Different clinics carry different medicine. Different clinics will only prescribe you one or the other, not both. So all of this confusion is kind of what I have to go through, and everyone else has to go through as well. So when you finally get to your doctor, tell them that like this is what you have, and they will prescribe you the medicine. They will give you a piece of paper that says you are only allowed to use medical cannabis for 1 month or 2 months, and they will prescribe you medicine for that period of time, and that's it. So meaning that if you are caught with, say, without that piece of paper, you will actually still be able to be put into jail for 1 year plus a 20,000 baht fine. Yeah. And the kicker about this is that, say, if I have 6 months of prescribed medicine, so say that I've been going back 2 or 3 times already, getting my prescription renewed and whatnot, and then I end my treatment, the THC still is going to be in my system for a while because I've been using it daily as prescribed by the doctor legally. But here's the thing, if I get roadside pisted, then I would be, I have, there's this whole jail time and 20,000 baht fine that's on top of my head, even though I have taken medical cannabis legally. So that's kind of what Thailand is in right now. Everything else is considered recreational, and recreational is very illegal. So joint, having cannabis flowers, cannabis medicine or tinctures that are not government made, that is not prescribed, and that if you don't have the paper for it, you're not allowed to use it.
You're breaking the law.
Everything is absolutely illegal. So overall, yes, we have legal medical cannabis, but
that's it. Well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of us are pretty much stunned with that, with the last statements that you did, because I'm surprised it was only a medical, because I have this feeling that Thailand pretty much had opened that, even though regulated, it's still illegal for recreational. Is that correct?
Yeah, and also a lot of regulation for the medical cannabis, whether it's in terms of licensing, production, and whatnot, are not all fully out yet. The government actually gave themselves a good 2 years before all of the minor regulation that would be able to put what the framework has came out, which is legalization of medical cannabis, into actual practices. So it will take time, guys. Like cannabis is just like everything else. A lot of people like to think that because it's cannabis, they end up being very hopeful. They throw the fact that before you change a law, like it takes 2 years or 3 years or 4 years before you are able to change society. It takes 5 years or 10 years. Cannabis is still the same thing. It's like it's not gonna be any quicker because it's cannabis. So it's not like I'm trying to make it sound like it's really difficult or it's harsh or that we're not prepared. It's like we should accept the fact that we're not prepared, so that we can actually go in and try to figure out what we would be prepared for and how we're gonna move forward together. So that's kind of pretty much it. It's like I'm the one who likes. I don't like popping people's dreams, but unfortunately, that seems to be the job that I have on hand.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that information. Now, maybe I could ask. I could take a couple more questions from the group. Guys, this is the time before before we start wrapping up things here. Any other additional questions, guys? Going once?
Guy, maybe for for both Pastor Kim and Kitty. Whenever you feel that there's nothing happening or there's no progress in your advocacy, what do you do? Or how do you get out of that feeling? Or you feel that nothing's happening, how do you get back up on the horse, if you may, and continue on with the advocacy? Because we all know that this is not easy. Nobody, who else will do this but us, right? So I want to know, I want to see it from your perspective. What do you do when there's nothing else happening in your advocacy, and how do you make it better? Thank you.
So here's what we're gonna do, okay, guys. So I'm gonna get all three guests to answer that question. If Harish, are you still there?
Yes.
Yes, I'd like for you to answer that question. I'll give you the time. I'll give you the table right now to answer that question.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. So actually, that was a very good question. Is that from Andrew?
Yes.
Andrew Ray. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Recently, it's good that you asked me because recently I've just went for a travel into the jungle and met some very interesting people, and which really gave me the motivation to keep going on forward. So basically, I mean, I've been involved since 2014. So it's just about 6 years. Sometimes when you do things, because at that point of time, it was not like now where there's all the countries have changed, you know, the laws are changing, India is opening up, Thailand is opening up. At that time, when you tried anything, you know, you usually come to a dead end. So you at that, you know, when you keep meeting dead ends and you keep getting rejected and all of this, you know, it really weighs you down and you get demotivated and you think like, you know, why am I doing this thing, right? So personally, I feel the one thing that really helped me moving on is just basically you know, that passion, that love that you have inside, and just say that, you know, this is what I want to do, you know, and no matter whatever that happens, you know, there's always a way you can find. And ways. One thing I really learned these past few weeks is that the spiritual world, you know, God is there, and whenever you need help, you can just ask from God, and God will really show you many ways that maybe you did not see before. So I think that's what I can say. So yeah, thank you. That's all.
Very well said. Thank you so much, Harish. Appreciate that. Let's go back to Pastor Kang. Please, if you could give me your answer to that question, please.
Yeah. Question. Depending on the situation, we change the subject and engage in advocacy. For example, for politicians interested in the rural economy, agricultural economy, and we suggest the cannabis industry is the opportunity as a Green New Deal. Yeah, some of the politicians, for politicians, we suggest the cannabis industry, agriculture, and Green New Deal, and we came here talk to the cultural artists, celebrity, or some of the singer and painter, and some of the cultural artists, find the and we suggest the find the light with us, and some of the patient and patient family, we talk about the legalization of cannabis as the human right to patient and their family. And in the case by the case, we change the subject, and we include the several we must find the answer
Find the common goal, find the answer. That is right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Reverend. Miss Kitty, it's your turn.
Okay. I say here's the thing that I have to make peace with. Cannabis cannot be a center of attention in media at all times, or in the center of attention of people's attention at all times. It may be my obsession and it's always the center of my attention, but it's not other people's. So when there are downtowns, because there's always a downtime with, like, you know, there's a media wave, there's a wave of when people are willing to listen to you more, and there's kind of certain times that you know that there's no point of pushing because it's not going to go anywhere. So I use that time, I consider them my downtime, but like there is no really such thing as a downtime, but I use that time to travel, to actually go and, you know, search for the information that I want to have. I use that time to find even more answers. I use that time to educate myself more, or reach out to people that I never had the time to reach out to answer questions. So that time in itself, like, you may feel that, what the hell am I doing? Why am I still doing this? Like, no one is listening to me. They just think I'm whining, or I'm just speaking gibberish. So use that time to kind of learn more, educate yourself, and also learn at a better way to communicate, so that the next time when they are ready to listen, you are there to hit them with as much more information that you could, so that they can also educate themselves and, you know, take something away from that knowledge. So never, like, don't give up. There will always be a way. That's one thing. And always go at it from multiple perspectives. Don't always look at it just as an advocate. Look at it also as everyone else that is within this food chain, within this industry, you know, from the basic user or the consumer all the way through to the guys who has the multi-million-dollar company that needs to be within this industry to have it going. So you need all of that information there. So you're not going to have that much time if you're constantly on the go and are able to, you know, speak out and have people listen. You still need that time to educate. So don't look at it as a, you know, a downtime and no one's listening to you, and look at it as more opportunity for you to learn and pack your brain with like all of this information that you know would be useful for the people that you are trying to teach or advocate or educate. That's pretty much it.
Great. Andrew, did that nail the question?
I just love it. I just love it. Thank you so
Yeah, I
much.
think so too. That was
The
beautiful.
vibrations from our partners here in the Philippines and in Korea and other countries. I just know that if we just keep on working together, if we have to work together and share the best practices in each countries, and we apply it, because I know this one helped us, and I'm sure we, in one way or another, helped also Pastor Kang and Kitty and Harish in continuing the efforts. And I just love it that the way that it centers all of us, because the fight continues on. It never ends. It never ends. And we always remember the people who have fallen, who have started this. And to be honest, this really breaks my heart, because it's medicine. The people who have cancer, the people who have sicknesses and don't have access to medicine, this cheap medicine, and it's simply denied to them. And I think that is the biggest travesty of all. Thank you so much.
Well said.
I
Well
agree
said,
with
Andrew.
that.
Well said. Anybody from Sensible Philippines members? Now's the time to ask your question if you have any.
Well, we still have time, don't we?
So we'll make a little time. I mean, I'm okay. I'm up and awake. So if you wanted to extend this, I am all for it. I mean, it's how can you not, right? I mean,
well,
a lot of
this is actually part of our closing, but I want to have like a longer focus on it. We mentioned, I think most of us mentioned earlier, the possibility of us working together, because I mean, yeah, we're all from Southeast Asian countries, and Pastor Kang and Kitty and Harish, we're all saying that us from agricultural countries, we have rich tradition using herbal medicines, right? Like the things that we can plant in our own backyard, and we're known for that. And when the prohibition came, 1930, late 1930s, when in the U.S. they single-handedly like kind of ordered the rest of the world to follow, right? So us as users of traditional medicine, and we use like agriculture alongside with our medicine and overall healthcare. So maybe I want to ask how us as a region can work together in like putting like a regional pressure to like to take back what's ours. This is a tradition of ours. So what do you think? What can we do as a region to help each countries out.
Okay, I'll have that question answered first by Harish again, Kumar?
Harish.
Harish.
Yes, thank you. Okay, yes, thanks, Kimi. I think that was something that I discussed with Kimi before when we met in Bangkok. Something that we can do for Southeast Asia. I think, today, I think 1 year after the trip in Bangkok, I think almost a year, is like, it's finally, taking place. I think right now we're on the right track. If you ask me personally, I think, Ms. Kimi, because we should advocate for the right thing from the start. That means, there's some organizations which is just pushing forward for hemp, for example, and they don't speak about TAC. They don't speak about medical cannabis and all of this. They don't have a solution for the whole situation. So when it comes to Southeast Asia, all of us collaborating, I'm sure each and every organization, like for example, like Normal and everything, they have their own specialty. Maybe their knowledge is more towards reforming the laws, so they can draft very good laws that is suitable for different countries in Southeast Asian region, which is applicable maybe to Malaysia. Maybe we can learn from countries like India and so on. And then, as like for example, like MASA, we have a website where we want to use it as the center for sharing, all of this understanding we have about maybe the laws in India, for example, and stuff like that, on one platform. So the whole of Southeast Asia is connected, in the sense that how cannabis is regulated, how is it accepted as traditional medicine, nutraceutical instead of pharmaceutical. Why should it be accepted as traditional? Because we have long history. So where is this history? For example, Thailand is, the monks have been using it. I think Kitty will know more about the history of Thailand, how the monks were using cannabis and stuff like this. So all of this information, we have to share it. And I think that is the best type of collaborative effort we can make, which is knowledge transfer. So knowledge transfer, technology transfer as well, maybe in the future once we are ready to bring in and all of this. But knowledge transfer definitely is I think is the most key thing we should collaborate on. So we already have a platform. I'm just saying MASA has a website where we translate all this information into Bahasa Malaysia. So the most Malaysians understand, and also we have it in English so that everyone else can read as well.
Understand, right?
Yep.
Great. Reverend, what's your input on that?
Actually, in KMC history is very short, but many, who you said some children with the incurable epilepsy and their family power of the mother. Yeah, it's only the 4 years. The KMC changed the direct drug law, but Korean FDA only allowed the this thing Epidiolex. Korea FDA only Epidiolex Sativex, such as the cannabis derived medicine only allowed. That is the problem. Yeah. So we came to still campaigning. We want to hospice the medical cannabis as the herbal medicine, natural medicine. Yeah. And some of the do you know the Epidiolex is the cost of 1,300 US dollar. Yeah, so expensive. Yeah, so expensive. Yeah, this epidiolex ingredient is same as other cannabis oil. Yeah, CBD oil, any cannabis oil is the same thing, but this is the FDA certification. Big pharma, pharmaceutical medicine company make the CBD thing. That is the only government allowed the pharmaceutical thing. That is the big problem. And some is the some government people, some politician, is all of the that is the big problem. And in people I say in Asia situation. Yes, many of the Asian countries traditionally, we are using the cannabis as the home medicine, and in order to use. We in KMCO also support the other to use. As every country is over the 21 years old, you can smoke the tobacco, you can drink the alcohol, but this is alcohol and tobacco can kill people. But as you know, this is the cannabis can't kill the people. There's some of the researchers say the 200 kilogram of the must can kill the people. But some of the this is the KMCO is the support the medical purpose, the cannabis, and some of the other use, and some activities say the more recreational use. Some should say this the other vision of the other use. Yes, with the and some people choose the tobacco, some of the choose the alcohol, some of the choose the other thing. Yes, we KMCO with its agenda is we support medical purpose and other use this thing. And that is in Korea situation, but it's only one person said we must regulate cannabis, but we must expand our peers. Ordinary people. Some of the reasonable people, some of the sensible people, we must expect the at this point, advocacy and campaigning is very important thing. This is my best word. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend. Appreciate that. You, Miss Kitty.
The way that Harish, I actually like it better when they call you Hashish. I think I'm gonna keep that name for you.
I like that actually. Suddenly, I was like, whoa, okay.
Thank you, Kitty. Someone had to say it. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. Like it's like I have to. It's like the burning bush. So like we got the burning bush now. Now we got Hashish.
I'm gonna have a reservation in that conversation, Kitty. But that was so funny. I try. I was trying to keep myself like, did I just call him that? Nice catch there, Kitty. Nice catch. Nice save.
But Harish is actually doing the basic of I do agree with the whole knowledge sharing, and that is absolutely awesome that you're doing. And also what Kimmy, you're doing is actually really, really awesome too. One thing that I do actually find is that because we have such different languages and we also have such different cultures, like I may not understand like what cannabis represents to you and your culture as a whole, and we don't have that explanation of that. So like we don't have, there's no media out there or videos out there that other people can look at of this is how it would have been traditionally, or this is what it means, or this is how people feel about it. So I do feel that they may only hear about medical cannabis or people moving in the right direction with hemp research or this or that, but they don't understand the cultural significance of cannabis as well as how it has affected Southeast Asian or Asia country, and especially with the war on drugs and what it meant to our society as well. And without that understanding, I feel that the overall population of the world, and not just for Asia itself, they won't understand what it is, because people are only going to view things only in their own perspective. And I only have, like, say, the cultural perspective of Thailand. I don't understand how you guys may have used hemp fibers, back in the days, or how you may have used, the actual cannabis itself, how it is used in medicine, and what's the significance of that. And I do believe that that needs to come out and needs to be discussed and talked about, and trying to find it if it's missing or if it's gone. Like we need to go back to our roots to bring that out to people so that they understand that significance before we move forward with trying to move medical cannabis, not medical cannabis, let's just say cannabis altogether. Like I'm not one for the other. I'm all for it all the way through to recreational. So before we can actually move that forward, because a lot of times culture and tradition has been missing from the conversation of cannabis, and within the legalization as well. Even Thailand, like they brought up Thai traditional medicine, but they're not talking about the culture of it. They're not talking about how the word bong, which is a Thai word, somehow made a significant in the cannabis industry and the cannabis community worldwide. So yeah, that still is something that I would say is missing. And until we bring that to light, we may not move as far, because people don't understand why it's actually special to our people. I think that's my take on it.
All right.
Amen.
Kimmy,
Amen.
does that answer your question?
Yeah, and can I just add, because Harish, Kitty, and I met last year over at Elevated Expo's first major event, and our conversation kind of went around this topic as to bringing us back to our roots. And you're right, Kitty. It's a very good aspect to bring back. Like people always hear about the medical aspect, but us, for example, to you guys in Thailand and to Malaysia and to South Korea, how did our ancestors used it before it was prohibited? And if we can just relay that information, so for everyone not to fear it, because it's nothing really foreign to us. Actually, prohibition was foreign. That wasn't ours. Until the Americans told us that it's illegal because it's a dangerous substance, and then it's like our culture was wiped out. So I think it's a homework to all of us here to trace back our respective roots, and maybe next time we come together again, we're gonna give actual reports or actual studies, actual findings of how this was part of our culture even back then. Thank you so much, Katie.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
I have stories to tell. Like I tell you, I have many stories to tell. It's actually really funny as well.
I bet. So yeah, and I think what's really gonna help is for us to continue having these conversations for us to know that, hey, we're no different from our Southeast Asian brothers and sisters. We come from like the same region, despite our differences in culture, religion, and politics. We come together because we have one cause, and that is to if not legalize, at least to criminalize and make cannabis as maybe a household name again.
That sounds wonderful. And also one thing that we all have in common is corrupt government. And I think that that is a very big obstacle to cross. But I do feel that the cannabis policy and cannabis legalization may bring a lot of things into more light. Because don't forget, there's going to be tracking and all of those, like, you know, ways for you to be able to check things right off the bat. That I think it's going to be really fun for our government to play around with.
Yeah, good point. But before, I think, yeah, we're it's 7 o'clock now, and this is really one thing that I really want to ask is because like what Reverend Kang said earlier, and also as well as Kitty, and I'm sure Harish is the same. We had scheduled activities for this year, and all of a sudden, COVID came, and there goes all of our activities. Like, and we're now like, as for us here in the Philippines, it's still like we're unsure as to whether when can we resume public gatherings again. So I guess my question is, how can we like move forward in the time of what's considered as new normal? How do we continue the advocacy, right?
Can I go first?
Yes, go ahead, by all means.
Well, here's the thing, because Thailand's way of dealing with COVID is considered wonderful. We are still actually having the second year, for our second time, Elevating Cannabis Expo 2020 this year, but unfortunately it will be mainly for locals because our country right now is not opening up their doors to anybody until like 2021. So, but it doesn't mean that you guys won't have access to the event. I'm working at it online so that you guys are still able to look at all the different stages, workshop, and also able to contact the exhibitors and, you know, at least schedule a meeting with them afterwards to get more information. So that is still a go ahead. And I cannot not have it, especially in the time that hemp may actually end up be legalizing, I would say very soon. So that's still a go ahead. But at the same time, I do actually feel that during COVID time, online or online platforms don't actually work that well in terms of spreading the word or discussing topics, because I do feel that it's not really a two-way conversation. Like with the live, you're not getting the questioning from the audience as much, or because someone drops off, you're not able to carry on the conversation. But I do find that around this time, people are getting more onto other media, like video media, as well as writing those articles that like you've been putting, you know, back burner. Because I do feel that people are still looking for information, and even though this time, and especially this time when people are stuck inside, they have a lot more time to get that information. Unfortunately, I do find that live sometimes doesn't work as well as, say, a Zoom meeting, or even better as an actual event itself. But at least it will hold you up until it's that time. I would take this time to create as much videos as you could, and then just, you know, share it out so that people that has more time on their hand able to have access to it. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess I just add in a little there, if you don't mind. I agree with Kitty as well. I think that's the direction we're going also, making more videos and engagement through, like, you know, social media approach.
Yeah. In Korean situation, in seminar and conference and policy discussion at the National Assembly have been postponed due to the Corona lockdown. It's the same thing. It's KMC also shared the information with each other online and conduct the advocacy activity through the social media. For example, the news that although it is the Corona lockdown, the overseas dispensary was the designed overseas dispensary is the open as the essential facility. Yeah, that is the big news. Yeah, even the coronavirus, even the Corona lockdown, the dispensary is the essential, and it's the dispensary is the for patients and some other people want. Actually, the cannabis in the industry and cannabis is the essential thing. But that is the big news. In the world is also is the great help in convincing Korean society. Corona is the in Corona lockdown is type. They came to find the other solution. Yeah.
Thank you. Arthur, you're on mute.
Okay.
There.
You copy?
There we
Am
go.
I clear now? All right, good to go. Yeah, I want to take advantage of this now. I was gonna bring Matt a little bit here because I believe he wanted to say a few things as well. Is Matt still available? Matt, you copy?
I think his line is not clear.
Let's give him a little bit time to respond. He's muted, I know that for sure, and he doesn't have his video. Matt, if you can turn on your video and your audio, let's see if you can join us a bit.
While we're waiting for Matt, thank you, Reverend Kang, for that. And we do have, I think all of, we all have, we still have a lot of work to do despite the lockdowns and what have you. So it's really, I think what we're gearing at is to really relay to a wider network the benefits of not just having medical cannabis legal for patients, but to look at it like what Kitty said, to look at it like in a whole scope, like point of view. Probably we can extend our scope to the point of view of the farmers, of the consumers, of the producers. I mean, before we have it legalized in the respective countries, I think it's best for us to lay down the foundation of like what's the proper way of doing it instead of us relying and waiting on the government to take action on our behalf. So yeah, this needs our active participation.
In addition to that, it's really education bound, overall, Miss Kitty. I mean, everything that you just said. This is all about getting, knowing your material, knowing everything, from the small information to the bigger kind. I mean, you cannot half-ass it, That's my take on it. I mean, at least get your grounds covered, the basic information. It's all about education. We get our research and then we just infuse that. I like that word, infuse. You know what I mean? We just, like the oil.
We love that word. We love that word, infuse.
Right.
Another pointer, actually, I would say is that don't forget the middle-aged female. They are the biggest, like they are the one that you need to convince. Because don't forget that women at that age is the one who makes most of the minor decisions within the household, meaning like what food you get to eat, what medicine you get to take, and all of that. So by making the communication more geared towards them and make it so that it makes them feel safe to even talk about it, because don't forget, women gets the most judgment there. And I think that's kind of where you should actually start most of the conversation, especially with cannabis, because this is like, it's kind of silly to trying to get like young kids involved in with like say the cannabis legalization or the movement, because overall they already know they can actually find stuff on the internet. And at the same time, the people that are very old, they don't tend to use the internet, so they will definitely only listen to their friends. But the ones that are constantly always wanting to change or better themselves, as well as finding something better for their family, are usually the middle-aged woman, 30, 40-year-old female, a mom, whether she's a wife or not, doesn't actually matter. But the fact that, she's technically usually the one who's leading the family in terms of major decisions. So, and if you get their ears, the whole family will listen along with her, because she's the one who's controlling the decision.
Good to go. All right.
I love it. I love it. I really, really love it. Can't stress that enough. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Before we start wrapping up here, actually, seriously, Kimmy, you already. Miss Kitty, you already have the floor. I wanted to do like a little closing from you. I mean, like the best, the best tips, best advice, best practice that you can give, like a minute or two, and then I'll give it to Reverend Kang, and then lastly to Kumar.
Okay. I say like my before we say goodbye, I think I wouldn't say I want to give you the best advice or the best practices, but it's more of a you'll get there. It takes time. Don't give up. Like arm yourself with knowledge, and you'll reach the end. Like it feels horrible a lot of times when even though you arm yourself with all the knowledge, and people will still talk down to you because you are talking about a drug, even though it's only cannabis. Like, come on, it's not like I'm talking about advocating for heroin or something. But that's kind of what you need to like. You need to get a little bit thicker skin, but at the same time, like, don't stop. Like if you get tired, you take a rest, but you come back. Like, you don't drop it. That's the only thing that I could say. Give any advice I can give to any advocate. Like, just go for it, and don't take no for an answer.
That's correct. Well said. Thank you, Miss Kitty. Reverend Kang, any last words?
Yeah. Because of the corona pandemic, many countries and many governments are doing things that they haven't tried before. In South Korea, Korean government give the basic income, basic income thing. And this time, many people with the suffer from the corona pandemic. At this time, we like us the activists and advocate some. Our mission is to legalize the cannabis, save the people and save the society. In corona pandemic situation, and this time in some of the Asia Asia country and Asia organization is the solidarity together, and we must unite the same voice, same agenda is needed to us. Yeah, I am again. Thanks for the inviting Seok and me. Thank you. Thank you again.
You're very welcome. Thank you, and thanks for your time as well. Kumar, please say your last statements, please.
Is he here?
I believe so. Harish, are you still there? I think he left already. Let me see.
I think he would like to be called Hashish at the moment.
Okay. I don't see him on our group right now. He probably got disrupted. But okay. I'll to you, Kimmy and Gwendolyn.
Okay. So God is gonna do the our closing message, but before I turn it over to Guada, I just like to leave the message that I left. If you were if you don't know, I think it's time for us to tell everyone that the core of Sensible Philippines met last year at the Invest Cannabis Asia, and I just like to say what I said there, and I think it's something that I'd like to be remembered by. As an inspiration and as words of encouragement to all cannabis advocates. So just think of the cannabis advocacy as Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. It takes dedication, and it's really like a lifetime commitment. And yeah, thank you. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
You're welcome. And
I'll give the floor to Sis Guada.
All right. On behalf of Matt Rosales, we're supposed to do the closing, but of course, we have everybody's back. By the way, I'm Guadalyn, and on behalf of Sensible Philippines, I'd like to first say thank you to the technical group here working behind us. They've been doing a great job taking care of all our needs behind the scenes. And of course, our chairperson. Without you, we will not be connected to our friends in Asia. Thank you very much, Kimmy, for doing this connection and reconnecting to the world as well. Thank you, Kitty, and congratulations to Thailand. Thank you, Reverend Kang. Your Bible verses are noted. And thank you very much to Harish, Hashish, Kumar, wherever you are at the moment. You will be remembered as that. Thank you for your. We await for that study, the MEPS, the MEPS, and hopefully we can also use that as part of our advocacy. Yes, patience is indeed a virtue in this advocate and here in the Philippines, and we hope to gather all the aspects, as our chairperson did say, both industrial, agricultural, economic, religion, all that aspect, and the patience, the people, and the advocacy, the heart, the compassion, and the passion to the plant, the miracle it gives, and the healing it gives to the whole world. On behalf of everyone, we would like to thank our grandest moderator, Arthur Reyes, for gracing this event with lots of energy.
Pleasure.
Kitty, right? I mean,
Thank you.
Energy is really high in this group. And congratulations to our first edition of Cannatalk. And I hope we will still have you around in all aspects, in every topic, anything cannabis. Maraming salamat. In our language, it's thank you very much. Mabuhay, with the spelling of H Yeah, mabuhay. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Have
so
a
much.
pleasant
Thank you so
evening,
much
Thank
everyone.
again.
you. Thank you so much.
감사합니다.
감사합니다.
Oh, yeah.
Can everybody still stay for pictures? Is everybody still around?
Yes.
Come back for pictures.
Oh, can we have a family picture?
Yeah. Whoever has a laptop, please take pictures of the whole group. Thank you. Come back. Stay for a moment. Give us 2 more minutes just for a group picture. This is history for everyone. Wait, let's wait for Kimmy. Let's wait for Kimmy. Kimmy has to come back. There she is. Okay. Yeah, everybody can turn on their mics right now. Go ahead and make make Cannatalk crazy.
Cheese.
There you
Cheers,
go.
guys.
There you go. So who can do a photo of everyone who's on the laptop? You can create the.
This is just a screenshot, right? I can do it.
Yes, please do for everyone. Is everyone still there? Arthur? Wait,
Where's
let's come back.
Arthur?
Arthur's wait. Let me call him. Come back.
Baby, come back.
Baby, come back.
There we go.
All right, right back at you guys.
Baby.
No, I'm sorry.
We were singing for you. Baby, come back.
No, right here.
Are we waiting
Okay.
Are we waiting for anyone else? Wait a
There we
minute.
go.
So I'm gonna
All
go
right,
count
Kitty.
1 to 3. I'm gonna go count 1 to 3.
Okay.
And we're gonna have a class picture of batch 1.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Smile. All right. Wait. Let me just check if I have this here. Otherwise, we have to. I really appreciate your time, guys. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Normally,
I'm
when
good.
we're
This
not
is
offline.
awesome.
Thank you. Normally, when we're offline, what we do on our meetings is we have our own.
Yeah. I think we're still live, right? Are we still live?
Yeah, we're
Wait,
still live on Facebook.
Still live, right?
So let's have a
Wait,
photo.
turn-
and then just
Stay
Oh,
there.
we
Let's stay there. We're gonna turn off live.
Okay. Let's.
Jules, can you turn
bye,
off
guys.
live?
Thank you for joining us.
No,
Thank you
Thank
for
don't
you.
leave
joining
yet.
you.
Don't leave yet.
No,
Don't
no,
leave yet.
no,
Don't leave yet.
Facebook Live.
Hey,
Don't
Jules,
leave it.
what you call it? Go ahead and cut off the live feed.